This is Boomer Life on CL 650.
You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind.
Lots of appreciation for the music here on the program this morning. Our producer, Dwayne Bishop, right on the money with the tunes this morning. On my mind, we're talking with the folks from Neurokinetics. Dr. Philippe Silvestre, Sonia Dale, and J.C. Gordon are here from the Neurokinetics team down there in the Highcroft building at Granville and 16th. And we're joined on the line right now by Brian from the Fraser Valley. Brian is with us. Brian is a former patient and is here to talk a little bit about his experiences with Neurokinetics. Brian, thank you for joining us. Hello.
Hello there.
Good of you to take the time to be with us today, Brian. Tell us a little bit about the background of your story and how you came to Neurokinetics, and how long ago was it?
The first that I can recall is I was trying to help myself because I just couldn't seem to get anywhere with the Western doctors and the Western medicine that they were prescribing
Okay.
for what they perceived as could only be treated through psychotropic medications. So I was very turned off with that because of the awful side effects that you get when you are suffering from depression, when you're suffering from high blood pressure, when you're suffering from balance and speech, neurological types of symptoms.
Right. Now, what happened that brought all of this on in the first place, Brian? I guess I need you to back us up to square one and the event that caused these symptoms that you've just described to us. Was it an accident?
Oh, yes. August 26, 1987, I fell approximately 90 feet off a rock bluff north of Terrace, BC, working as a high scaler, and I really... Well, even statistically, you should be dead when you fall that far.
Well, I was just going to say a 90-foot fall on a rock face. My gosh, we're all lucky to have you with us today, Brian. That's a pretty serious event.
It is, but the good side is I got to see things up there. We're looking down at the Skeena River, beautiful salmon runs going by. It was quite a spectacular experience to have as a 26-year-old. To bring along your wife and kids in a travel trailer and do some traveling with the family while you're working. It was that side of life was pretty good.
All right. Now, how long did it take you between the time you experienced this very tragic fall and serious accident? You clearly you were talking about psychotropic medications. Clearly, it was a workplace accident, so I'm sure that there were doctors and there was a protocol followed for people in BC with workplace accidents. How did that go for you, Brian?
Oh, that was... kind of like an Alice Cooper song, Welcome to My Nightmare.
Okay. Not successful, then, to say the very least.
No, it was. It started off with consistent medical mismanagement behavior from case managers of Workers' Compensation Board.
Okay. And that's a very poor beginning. So clearly, with that as the setup, it didn't go very well for you. How many years, Brian, before you sought out Neurokinetics and Dr. Silvestre?
I was very fortunate to stumble across a retired radiologist. I won't give his name because I don't know if that's important or not.
Not a problem.
If you want it, I'll give it to you.
No, it's okay.
But he suggested after he was selling a product called Hyperimmune egg powder, and he really thought it would help me. But he also, being a doctor and knowing way more than I would ever know in medicine, said, you really do need to go and see Dr. Silvestre. He's a neurophysiologist, and I believe he can help you. And so I just, truthfully, I just got lucky.
Right. And when you went in and you had that first appointment with Dr. Philippe, and you found a sympathetic person willing to take the time to listen to your story, was that one of the few people that you had encountered with that disposition?
He was the only person that seemed to have an expertise in the field of neurophysiology.
Okay.
And it wasn't just sympathy at all. He's brilliant. I mean, I was in love the first day I walked in that office, and you know, when you get interviewed for 4.5 hours to properly diagnose the condition of your, because mine was complicated.
Sure.
And I had been misdiagnosed with dementia. I mean, I don't know what you think about diagnosis like that, but I'm an ex-4-time Golden Gloves boxer, and I quit my boxing at 19 years old, so I got married. I wanted to be a working person, and to be so badly diagnosed
Right.
was really hard to live with.
I suppose the fact that you had a 4.5-hour meeting with the doctor would have really gone a long way, because we've talked about, Brian, in the previous segment before you joined us here, we talked about how when people become injured, fear comes into play very quickly. They start to worry about themselves and their health and their ability to work and provide for their family, and other fears come into play, and pretty soon it starts to create a spiral effect that's not in the least bit pleasant, and I'm sure you went through all of that.
That's exactly right. The thing is you know, I don't think the average person truly can say they know what's going on with their neurological and physiological symptoms that they suffer from.
I agree.
And you need help from professionals, and if you're not trained in those fields of hardcore neurophysiology, you're gonna miss it.
Sure. So all these years later, Brian, you are a successful client at Neurokinetics. Do you maintain a relationship to this day with Dr. Philippe? Do you, from time to time, go back for a, shall we say, and I'm a layman here, so I get to use this expression, for a tune-up, if you know what I mean?
Oh, exactly, and not only a tune-up. I mean, the whole office is so supportive that it's like walking into such a welcoming, warm group of people that aren't only educated, but they actually want to help you to the point where, especially where they've already proven in the past, Neurokinetics gave me health for 1.5 years that I didn't have for over a decade.
Wow.
And we're talking about things like hypertension, balance disorder, sleeping disorder, speech, like I couldn't even speak properly.
Right.
Clenching of the teeth so bad that I was breaking teeth in my mouth.
Wow.
The kind of symptoms that I'm suffering from still today, and that's all about to change.
Right. And it's all, and you've learned through Dr. Silvestre and the rest of the team how to manage. It sounds, Brian, like you're at least, information is power, knowledge is power, and it sounds like you understand what's going on, and that makes it already so much more easy to deal with. Correct?
Oh yes, but unfortunately, this is a good day for me. But my good day, I'm 53 years old.
Uh-huh.
I'm sitting in my basement suite. I don't work for a living, but I'm not having all of these horrible things happen on my bad days.
Right.
That, for example, I sometimes forget where I even live. I mean, that's pretty bad at my age, forgetting how to get places. And if I didn't have modern technology like a new vehicle with satellite GPS, I wouldn't go out at all.
Right. Well, it's very kind of you to take the time to be with us today and describe your relationship with the team at Neurokinetics. Brian, it sounds like they've been a great help in keeping you on track. Did JC?
They're my heroes.
All good news, Brian. Thanks very much for being with us today. We appreciate your taking the time to jump in with us on Boomer Life here on the radio.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure entirely. Dr. Philippe, Brian talked about something there that I wanted to pursue with you, because when he came to you, having had numerous exposures and experiences to all sorts of medical possibilities, he described your ability to integrate Western and Eastern medicine as being the solution that he needed in his life. Tell us what he means by the integration of Western and Eastern medicine.
Yes, I have been privileged to be trained in both Western medicine and Oriental medicine. And I began my career having that double baggage. And that was a gift and proved to become a very, very great, efficient way to approach complex conditions like that.
Okay.
And it happens that combining both bring everything to the next level in about understanding and about having the proper means to restore dysfunctional conditions like this.
So is it possible that Western medicine, and you were trained, you were a surgeon in the French Air Force, for crying out loud. You're a traditional Western-based doctor in your background. And so Western medicine is very much symptom-oriented, and Eastern medicine is very much holistic or big picture. When you combine the two, it seems that we have a rather effective approach, wouldn't it?
Yes, it is comparable to apply a prism on a light beam. You begin to see all the components of this white light into different colorful sub-areas. And that would be a good way to compare what combining Western medicine and Oriental medicine lead one to approach this type of condition.
Now, Brian brought up a very interesting scenario, and I don't imagine this is rare, but here's a man who described his accident. My gosh, he fell 90 feet, JC, for crying out loud, on a rock face. So, this is major league accident.
Yeah, he is a walking miracle.
No kidding.
There's no doubt about that. And he had been through the grinder for about 14, 15 years before he was referred by the radiologist to Dr. Philippe. And Dr. Philippe was able to, we're talking 2001, 2002, Dr. Philippe was able to work with him doing what we do at Neurokinetics, which is optimizing the brain. And after that, he had a year and a half of his old life back.
Right.
And Brian will be coming back to see us very shortly, again to get another tune-up. But because of the severity of a 90-foot fall,
no kidding,
that is an extreme accident.
Yes.
And his circumstances were extreme. But that's the type of thing that we are able to work with and help at Neurokinetics by optimizing the brain.
Right.
And when the brain is optimized and the dysfunction is eliminated and functionality is back working in the brain, symptoms are overcome.
Right. And the fear factor, it keeps coming up in the conversation, and it's very scary. Being sick is scary. Period, let alone being gravely injured and being doubtful about your future and your well-being. That's beyond scary. That's freaky. So, Dr. Philippe, when people come to see you, in many cases, the fear is paramount. That's the dominant emotion, isn't it?
It is. It is always there.
And so how do you persuade or convince someone to be less afraid and to put themselves in your hands?
You know, I am a mountain boy, and I remember when I was going up to tackle a few summits, I have learned that the best pool of people to make it for all has to follow the weaker link pace. That's what I apply in medicine. I am placing myself in the boots of my patient and walk at their pace.
Right.
I will not, as I cannot afford to assume that they will be able to walk at my pace. Right. I have to comply to their pace.
And that's why, in some cases, as Brian just described it, it's important for you to take 4.5 hours to interview a patient just to get it right.
It is a kind of average time, yes.
Interesting stuff. Dwayne, do we need to take a break here? We've got another Brian, another a patient, a new patient. This will be an interesting one because here we just heard from a fellow who's been with the clinic for about 15 years or so and has clearly benefited from your hands-on approach, you and all the rest of the team, Dr. Philippe. But now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to meet someone who's just met you and find out what that's like. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650 with our friends from Neurokinetics in the Highcroft building in downtown Vancouver at 3195 Granville Street, right there at 16th, just on the approach up the hill, and online at neurokinetics.com. Lots more still ahead after this.
Canada's only weekly radio show dedicated to the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.